Part 35. Adorable Baby, The Miracle Doctor is So Awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 341. Shenyazi smiled leisurely. There is a saying called seeing through fire, and Xiao Zhao, if I'm not mistaken, should be born with a pair of eyes for seeing fire, able to see through any illusion and not be fascinated by it. No wonder he was able to dig up such elusive and strange plants as Uli. If he learns something very confusing like illusion formations, he will get twice the result with half the effort. This is why I give him full marks. In this way, this child is a rare and good seedling. No one would suspect that Shenyazi deliberately made up these words in order to favor Xiao Zhao. Is it necessary in her capacity? The happiest among them is Bai Xiaoshu. This child should be her disciple. In the lobby, parents gathered around their children and asked, "What did you take the test? Can you do the questions asked by the teacher? How come this kid is shaking his head all the time? Is he stupid?" These kids are really confused. After entering, there was no teacher to ask them questions or give them problems to do. They entered strange places one after another inexplicably, and met some inexplicable people and things. The assessment was over before they could figure out what was going on. When Shenyazi and a group of teachers came out, parents swarmed around them. "Teachers, how did my child do in the exam? My baby won't be wiped out, right? Teacher, since I have come all the way to bring my child here, please let my child go to school. Didn't you think it was expensive to repair it before? Why are you so concerned about your children's assessment results now?" Shenyazi looked around at the crowd, and after the scene calmed down, he said, "Parents, please go aside and wait quietly. The children will stand in 3 rows. She read out the number plates of the children who passed the examination. These are the children who have passed the examination. They paid the registration fee to Xiaosan's housekeeper and can come to school tomorrow." She pointed to Xiao San, who was sitting behind a desk on the side of the lobby. The passing rate of this assessment was only half, and the other half of the children were eliminated. When the parents heard this, they immediately started shouting, "Why don't my children go to school? My child has been smart since he was a child, how could he fail the test? Did you take money from those people, so you let their children go to school? Unfair." As soon as these words came out, the indignant parents all shouted, and for a while the sound in the lobby was like a wave, hitting the eardrums of Shenyazi and others. Shenyazi's eyes darkened, and several ice picks around him suddenly condensed and shot towards those people, only to stop suddenly when they reached their heads. Everyone suddenly said. Seeing that they stopped clamoring, Shenyazi put away the ice pick and said, "The assessment results were evaluated by me and the teachers based on your children's performance. Are you not convinced? Okay, I'll show you your children's performance." She flicked her hand on the projection screen, and ripples appeared on it like water. Contestant number 7 appears above. He is sitting in a boat with a bamboo pole on it. Not far away, his mother and grandmother are struggling in the water. The two of them were very close to him, less than a penny apart. He picked up the pennant, and just when everyone watching thought he was going to hand it to his mother or grandma, his behavior was beyond everyone's expectation. He actually hit the two of them on the head with his pennies, and laughed while hitting them, treating it as a fun game. At this time, his mother, who was watching this scene, was speechless when faced with the surprised looks cast by others. He left dejectedly with his children. Shenyazi asked calmly, "Does anyone else want to see it?" Those people all remained silent, and each dragged their children away. Never mention enrollment again. Shenyi knew, children who pass the assessment should keep their vouchers after registration. In the afternoon, they can take the vouchers to the Academic Affairs Office of Yulun Hall to collect various supplies. It is also noon. If you are hungry, try your best to let's go to Rongtang for dinner. To set an example, Shen Yizi and other teachers took the initiative to walk towards Nengrong Hall. The old disciple of Bao Jixiang Bao's big disciple Chen Huan in Nengtong Huan. According to Mr. Bao, his eldest apprentice is not the most talented among the 3 apprentices, but he is the most passionate and willing to study cooking. Now he is a grandfather. As soon as the master calls, he immediately takes care of the family. The earth has come. Chen Huan's family of 8 members all are good at cooking the stove. Even the youngest granddaughter can make good chicken soup. Their family has taken on all the work of Nengrong Tang, and they are happy every day. The whole family is an optimistic foodie. When Shen Yizi and his group arrived, they could smell the fragrance coming out of it. Braised pork, carrot and beef soup. The parents who followed them walked into the spacious, bright, and clean cafeteria, and when they saw the basins of steaming meat behind the window, they couldn't help but swallow their saliva. Hey, the food is so good. Did you do it on purpose to show them? Or is it just like what Chief Shen Shan said, will the food be this good every day from now on? If that's the case, it's not a bad idea to send your children to study just for the sake of the food. When they really tasted it, the parents suddenly lost all thought and just ate with their heads down. Although Bao Jixiang said in front of Shen Yizi that Chen Huan's cooking skills were not very good, it was just an implicit statement from his own family. In fact, Chen Huan's cooking skills were still very good. After being here for a while, after being tortured by Bao Jixiang, my cooking skills have improved a lot. Even here, Shen Yizi can get a good evaluation. After finishing the meal, all the parents took the money and went to Xiaosan to sign up without any hesitation. Even if you don't have that much money with you, you still need to find someone to chip in. Xiao Zhao and others were taken to register by Lu Wanrong. There were 15 of them in total, and they all passed the examination, which surprised and pleased Shen Yizi. When Lu Wanrong took out the banknote to sign up, Xiao Zhao asked, "Teacher Lu, did Aunt Chen give you this money?" "Yes, but your Aunt Chen said that she lent it to you, and you will pay it back to her when you grow up." Hearing this, Xiao Zhao breathed a sigh of relief and nodded heavily, "Yes. I will do it." He also told them Nong Nong to remember to pay back the money. When Lu Wanrong saw them, she couldn't help but sigh to herself, "These are good children, and they will definitely have a bright future in the future." After finishing the school affairs, it was already 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Shen Yizi felt that these things were more tiring than treating diseases and saving people. Fortunately, she had the tact to get Lin Benji to agree to be the deputy mountain chief early on. Just leave these specific matters to him in the future. Lin Benji was an upright person, rigorous in his actions, and quite a gentleman. He also served as a priest, equivalent to the principal, at Tianyuan Academy, the highest institution in the empire. Different from Junshan Academy, Tianyuan Academy is equivalent to an aristocratic academy. Those who can study in it all have extraordinary backgrounds and powerful backers. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 342. The people here, the grandfather's father has long laid the future path for them, basically the reserve of court officials. Therefore, although this is an academy, there is also a strong bureaucracy and cliques are inevitable. Lin Benji was an upright person, but over time he couldn't stand it anymore, so he simply resigned and took his wife to devote himself to the mountains and rivers. However, he was not without regrets in his heart. Now that he has taken over the position of deputy director of Minjiu Academy from Shen Yizi, his heart for teaching and educating people can be said to have come back to life, and he is gearing up to do something big. It doesn't matter that Shen Yizi left all those things to him. Shen Yizi was walking on the way home, with snow under her feet. The snowflakes crunched under her feet, which made her feel very comfortable. They also deliberately step on snowy areas. At some point, snowflakes fell from the sky again. Shen Yizi did not hold up the aura shield and just let the snowflakes fall on him. Stepping into the house, Shen Yizi saw Xie Zhenlin sitting in the hall. He has been here for several hours. He fell asleep while sitting here waiting, dozing off with his chin on his hand. There is no way. Who told me to set up a formation in the house? Compared with the outside, it is much warmer inside. He was treated to hot tea and delicious snacks. After eating and drinking, he felt sleepy. Hearing the noise, he rubbed his eyes and woke up. Sister, you're back. Xie Zhenlin stood up and stretched. Shen Yizi teased him, I think you are quite comfortable staying here. She took off her outer coat and hung it on a hanger, and that was enough to wear a jacket inside the house. Xie Zhenlin rubbed his face and said, That's right, I just had a sweet dream. I dreamed that beer was listed as a tribute and spread to other countries. I made so much money that I spent the entire night lying on a mountain of gold. That's really a sweet dream. Speaking of which, how are your beer sales these days? Shen Yizi took a sip of hot tea and buried 2 sweet potatoes in the charcoal basin. It is really a pleasure to eat sweet potatoes by the fire in the middle of winter while admiring the snowy scenery outside. Xie Zhenlin also came over. Sisters Hizzy, I was just about to tell you. Guess how much beer was sold this month? Don't talk to me, tell me quickly. Shen Yizi put another 7 or 8 water chestnuts on the edge of the charcoal basin. Water chestnuts are crispy and sweet when eaten raw, but they have a different taste when roasted. There are more than 80,000 boxes. Xie Zhenlin made an 8 gesture. Originally, you said that as long as the beer is sold throughout Langcheng and the 5 nearby cities, you will let me be a beer agent. Now I have exceeded the quota. It is estimated that half of the Southern Territory knows our beer. Wait until next year. Our beer will definitely be more popular when we get up. It's true that beer tastes best when it's cold, and it's most enjoyable when it's iced in the summer. It's cold now, so beer can't be drank warm like a knife, and it doesn't have the burning effect in your stomach to warm your body. So winter is not the best season for beer sales. Xie Zhenlin can sell so much in the season, which shows his ability. Well done. Here, I'll reward you with a roasted water chestnut. Shen Yizi picked up the water chestnut from the brazier and put it on a plate, then threw a dust-clearing spell over it. The originally gray water chestnuts immediately became clean. The 2 of them each took a water chestnut and peeled it to eat. Shen Yi knew, let me teach you a trick. Beer is not only good for drinking, it can also be used for cooking. Adding some beer to the food will make it taste better. This is also one of the selling points of beer. Really? Can Sisters Hizzy make it for me to try? I haven't eaten dinner yet. And I won't know how it tastes until I eat it. Then I can gain more trust by promoting it to wine shops and merchants. You say yes. In 1,000 words, I just want to eat the food she cooks. Okay, I'll let you have a taste of it today. Shen Yizi went to the kitchen to work, and Xie Zhenlin also came in to help. He said he wanted to help, but in the end he was disliked by Kun San. Stay aside and don't get in the way here. Xie Zhenlin touched his nose and stood aside angrily. However, his eyes were always paying attention to Shen Yizi's cooking steps so that he could write them down. Shen Yizi cooked 6 dishes: beer braised beef, beer steamed chicken, beer braised fish, beer duck, all chicken, duck and fish, plus 1 dish of beer mixed with 3 shreds, and 1 dish of stir-fried Chinese cabbage. Chinese cabbage picked fresh from the snow is refreshing and sweet. Put it into a pan and stir-fry it for a while, then add some salt and soy sauce. It is delicious beyond words. Several beer dishes are also fragrant and delicious. At the dinner table, Gan Wu and Xie Zhenlin almost got into a fight over the ownership of the last chicken leg. Luo Yao Yao, however, had quick eyes and quick hands and looked on leisurely. Having a delicious dinner, learning a few beer delicacies, and getting the beer agency right, Xie Zhenlin's trip was a fruitful one. After resting in the guest room for the night, He had a quick breakfast the next morning before riding back to the city and immersing himself in a new round of beer selling business. Shen Yizi checked in at the academy and the medical clinic. Seeing that nothing happened, he went to Taeranju. The children all went to school happily, and Lu Wanrong was cleaning their rooms. When he learned that Shen Yizi was coming, he hurried back and said, "Yizi, why are you here?" After getting along for a long time, the two of them became familiar with each other by their first names. "Let me see you. How are you doing recently? You don't have any more nightmares at night?" Shen Yizi poured her a cup of tea. Lu Wanrong held a warm teacup and said, "No, after using the soothing incense you gave me, I sleep much better now and don't have nightmares anymore." "Well, that's good. The weather is nice today, shall we go for a walk?" Lu Wanrong was a little surprised, thinking that she probably had something to say to him, so she agreed. The two of them went out and walked slowly along the path by the lake. As soon as she came out, the cold wind blew in her face, and Lu Wanrong couldn't help but shrink her neck. Shen Yizi has martial arts running all the time in his body and is protected by spiritual energy, so even if he doesn't wear much, he doesn't feel cold at all. However, Lu Wanrong is a mortal after all, and it is inevitable that she will be a little unbearable when the cold wind by the lake blows. Shen Yizi noticed it, secretly blaming himself for being careless, and hurriedly put a spiritual shield on her to help her withstand the cold wind, and stuffed a small fist-sized heater into her hand. Lu Wanrong suddenly felt not cold at all. The small heater in her hand was even warmer, and whether it was her imagination or not, the more she held it in her hand and rubbed it, the hotter it became. Shen Yizi explained her doubts. "This hand stove is made of Swaniagan, sounds same as dry, 4 tones. It is not filled with charcoal, but with water. As long as there is a little heat source nearby, the water in it can be removed if you keep turning it. Not only will the temperature not drop, it will get higher and higher. You should put it under the quilt when you sleep at night to ensure that it is warm." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 343. Lu Wanrong was pleasantly surprised. She had cold hands and feet when winter came. She couldn't help curling up when sleeping at night. Sometimes when she woke up in the middle of the night, her feet were as cold as ice. Tang Posa didn't work very well. Now with this hand stove, she can sleep completely soundly. "Yizi, thank you." Such thoughtful concern made her heart warm. "It's just a hand stove, and Sister Wanrong is still so polite to me." Lu Wanrong smiled and said nothing more, but she secretly remembered it in her heart. "The Chinese New Year is coming soon. Where are you going to spend it?" "Going back or not?" After walking for a while, Shen Yizi asked. "The Lu mansion is no longer my home, so why should I go back? With the children by my side, I'm not afraid of being left alone." Thinking of the children, Lu Wanrong couldn't help but smile on her face. In this period of time spent together day and night, she had already regarded Xiao Zhao and the others as her own children. "Sister Wanrong, do you only have children in your heart? I was still thinking of asking you to come and stay with me to watch the New Year's Eve together. It's really sad." Shen Yizi pretended to be heartbroken, which made Lu Wanrong smile. Looking at her smile, Shen Yizi knew that her heart had come back to life, but the pain in her heart still needed time to heal. "Sister Wanrong, why hasn't Brother Kong come to see you recently?" Shen Yizi seemed to mention it casually. She picked up a flat stone on the side of the road and threw it on the lake. It floated in the water. The pebbles slid all the way out, bouncing on the water a few times before stopping and submerging themselves into the water. "Looks like she's pretty good at getting things done." Lu Wanrong smiled, with a hint of bitterness in her smile. "I asked him not to come to me." Shen Yizi looked confused. Last time he came to see me and mentioned the baby we had planned to marry, he said he wanted to take good care of me in the future. Shenyas Hickson said that this was almost equivalent to a proposal. Kang Wansheng has not married for so many years and has been a bachelor, which shows that he still can't let go of Sister Wan Rong. How can I bring trouble to him anymore when I am like this? From now on, I will treat Xiao Zhao and the others as my own children, take good care of them, and watch them grow up. I will be satisfied. Shen Yazi couldn't agree with this. Sister Wan Rong, what are you like now? How could you implicate him? Before Lu Wan Rong could refute, she took out a small mirror with a handle and put it in front of her. Lu Wan Rong subconsciously turned her head, not daring to look at herself in the mirror. Since she escaped from Deng Biao's clutches, she has not looked in the mirror, and usually covers the mirror in her room with clothes. In Shen Yazi's eyes, this kind of behavior means that he cannot face his own performance. However, severe cases require drastic measures. She did not give Lu Wanrong a chance to escape, and moved the mirror in front of her. Sister Wanrong, look at yourself. Lu Wanrong slowly opened her eyes. In the mirror, she had a fair and smooth complexion and plump lips. Except for the fine lines at the corners of her eyes that revealed her age, there was no clue that she was a woman in her 30s. It was much better than the vicissitudes of life she had imagined. Is this her? She reached out to touch her face in disbelief, and because of this, the white and slender hand also came into view. She is no longer as skinny as a claw in the impression. These are all inseparable from her eating well, drinking well, sleeping well, and nourishing herself with various cosmetics during this period. Coupled with the company of her children, her heart came back to life. She no longer had any will to die, and her life was lively and enjoyable. When she was in a good mood, her complexion naturally improved. Shen Yazi pulled her to sit down on a long wooden chair by the roadside. Sister Wanrong, have you seen it? You are as beautiful as a flower now. Compared with the little girl, you don't look old at all, and you are a little more mature. There will be plenty of good days ahead. You are a teacher in the college now. You have your own career and monthly salary. You can support yourself. You can buy whatever you want to eat and wear. If you want to live alone, that's great. There is no problem. Human life in life, happiness is the most important thing. If you feel lonely, you can adopt a child or keep a dog to keep you company. If you feel you are unhappy here, you can also go out for a walk, see the scenery elsewhere, and experience different customs. The college will also pay you a pension when you get old, so you don't have to worry about being homeless in the future. Can life still be lived like that? Lu Wanrong couldn't help but be attracted by the scene she described, her eyes full of longing and yearning. Shen Yazi continued, as for other people's gossip, we can't stop them from talking about others, but if they say theirs, can you lose a piece of meat because of it? You live your life, and you don't have to follow other people's wishes. Just come here and feel good about it. If you find them annoying, just come and tell me. I have plenty of ways to deal with those lousy people. Let's talk about Brother Kong. He hasn't gotten married and had children for so many years. Do you think you have delayed him, right? You are totally wrong to think so. Of course it is because of you that he doesn't marry, but it is his own fault. The choice you make has nothing to do with you. Let me give you the simplest example. There is a strange man who likes you, but you don't like him after being rejected by you. He drinks to relieve his sorrow every day and refuses to marry a wife, so, should you be blamed for this? Lu Wanrong said naturally, it shouldn't be. Look, the difference between that strange man and Brother Kong is that your attitude towards him is that you care about Brother Kong, so you feel that you have delayed him and feel ashamed of him, but in fact it is not the case at all. You let go. I don't like him, but I'm afraid that being with him will attract gossip from others, right? Then, in this matter, it's your fault, Sister Wanrong. Lu Wanrong opened her eyes wide. Why was it her fault? You are interested in each other, but you don't want him to be talked about by others, so you push him away and don't see him again. This is just you being nice to him in a self-righteous way. Have you ever asked him if he wants this kind of kindness? Lu Wanrong was speechless. At that time, Kang Wanzhong did say that he was not afraid of being criticized by others, and he didn't care whether she was perfect or not. He only had pity for her and wanted to take good care of her in the days to come. She formed a small family. It was she, thinking about the strange looks from her neighbors after marrying him, and how they would point fingers at him, saying that he married a woman who had been played to pieces. She couldn't help but push him away. Moreover, the rumors were nothing more than that. What she was more afraid of was that he would regret marrying her in the future. What should she do if he loses his enthusiasm by day after day of gossip and no longer feels pity for her? Lu Wanrong's eyelashes trembled, and she unconsciously tightened her hold on Shen Yizi's hand. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 344. Shen Yizi naturally had some insight into her worries and fears. Sister Wanrong, the best way to deal with rumors is to live your own life, live an upright and radiant life, so that those who look down on you and point fingers at you can only look up to you. When the time comes, you can only feel envy, jealousy, and hatred. Besides, have you forgotten? You are mine now, and the entire Minjia villa is your natal family. If Brother Kong dares to bully you, you come to me to support you. There are so many people in the villa, and everyone will spit on them. It can drown him. Lu Wanrong laughed. While smiling, tears welled up in his eyes. Shen Yizi wiped her tears and said, "So, what else do you have to worry about?" Lu Wanrong couldn't help but ask herself, yes, what else does she have to worry about? The most desperate and dark days have passed. Now her life is full of light. As long as she wants, she can reap happiness at any time. Xiaju came over and said, "Sister Wanrong, Inspector Kong is here." Shen Yizi patted Lu Wanrong on the shoulder and winked at her, "I won't disturb your conversation and go back." Halfway through the walk, Shen Yizi paused suddenly. Just now, the connection between her and Yi Chang was suddenly severed. Something happened to Gu Switting and the others. She suddenly didn't care about anything else, and ran towards the mountains in a flash. Suddenly she stopped again and sent a communication talisman to Luo Yao Yao, "Master, something might have happened to Qingbao and the others, I'll rush over first." After the messenger talisman was sent, she got on the sky boat and flew out in the blink of an eye. 2/4 of an hour ago, deep in Qingmang Mountain. Gu Switting took 3 gourd babies to hunt for treasure in the mountains, and Yi Chang led the way. Well, the spiritual energy is getting stronger and stronger, hurry up, it's just ahead. After a while, a few people came to a mountain kernel. The place was covered with thick snowdrifts, and nothing could be seen from the surface. Even if the consciousness swept over, nothing could be noticed. But Yu Chang affirmed, "It's right here, dig." As a laborer, Gu Switting excavated under his guidance without hesitation. After all, his previous successful treasure hunting experiences proved that he did have a unique talent for treasure hunting. Qingbao and the other 2 cheered him on. After digging for a while, a snow ginseng plant as thick as a child's arm was revealed. That Xueshen obviously had intelligence and actually knew how to run. Unfortunately, she met Gu Switting. He threw a body-holding spell at him, and Xueshen was unable to move, and could only watch as he was dug out. "Qingbao, wow, what a big carrot. Nian Nian, it looks delicious. Yuan Bao, why is this ginseng white? Millennium Snow Ginseng." Just when Gu Switting had finished putting away the fat snow ginseng doll, a fierce attack suddenly struck. He immediately rolled the 3 Qingbao behind him and threw a formation disc over to protect them inside. Without his instructions, Yi Chang immediately grew several times larger and coiled himself outside the formation, holding his head high and staring at him eagerly. Gu Swiding looked at the attacker while resisting, with a flash of shock in his eyes. He thought that the attacker was a monster guarding the surroundings, but unexpectedly it was a man in colorful clothes riding on a big red bird. This person is none other than Zhang Lingch. The two of them had had a fight before, but at that time Gu Swiding's demonic poison took effect, and the fight was completely life-threatening, scaring Zhang Lingch away. Now that we meet again, the atmosphere is tense. Hand over that snow ginseng plant. Zhang Lingch stood on the three-headed bird's ilu and looked down at Gu Swiding. He had snatched his yin and yang flowers before, and now he has been a few months of snow ginseng. This kid is really bullying. Although Yu Chain usually looks a little displeased with Gu Swiding, facing the enemy now, the two of them are on the same side, so naturally they cannot let him be looked down upon by the enemy. Otherwise, where would he be able to put his reputation as a real person in Zhuhua? So he crawled over, lifted Gu Swiding up, and raised his body to be at the same height as Xiao Lu opposite him. This wave of operations caught Gu Swiding and Zhang Lingch off guard. The two sides were silent for a while, and Gu Swiding naturally flatly rejected Zhang Lingch. In this case, the ownership of the snow ginseng can only be determined through force. Just when the two sides were ready for battle, a voice came from below, "Come on, Daddy. Beat the bad guys away." This call was made by Qing Bao, and Yuan Bao and Nian Nian also joined in behind. The trio of milk sounds is as powerful as a rainbow. Zhang Lingch, who was standing on Xiaolu's back, almost slipped and fell. Gu Swiding, on the other hand, although he was very moved and encouraged in his heart, he looked very calm on his face. After all, I have had a cold and aloof persona for so many years. No matter what I feel in my heart, I still look good on the outside. Zhang Lingch felt a toothache when he thought about the three little brats shouting, "Come on, Dad. Beat the bad guys away," when a fight breaks out. Does he look like a bad guy? What do those three little look like? Just as hateful as their father. So Zhang Lingch abandoned Gu Swiding and went to Qing Bao San. He could see that Gu Swiding was nervous about the three milk dolls. In this case, don't blame him for targeting his weaknesses. Qing Bao is Gu Swiding's counterattack. How can he be allowed to be touched by others? The whole body's aura went cold, and he passed through the space directly, arriving in front of Zhang Lingch first, and fired at him continuously with the crescent-shaped space blade in his hand. Zhang Lingch looked startled and dodged nimbly. The last space blade struck at a very tricky angle. He narrowly avoided it, but still lost a piece of his scalp. Hair fell, time seemed to be frozen at this moment. The two people's eyes met, and sparks flew everywhere. The two of them were fighting fiercely in mid-air, but Qing Bao and the others below were shouting and jumping with excitement. In their hearts, their father is omnipotent, so they are not worried at all that he will not be able to defeat the bad guys. They are only concerned about whether he can fight well or not. Zhang Lingch felt so up. The opponent has a cheerleading team cheering him on, and his momentum is much stronger than his, so how can he still fight? Unexpectedly, his contracted beast dropped its chain at this moment, and was stopped by the opponent's big snake with a loud roar, and almost fell from the air. The most damning thing is that the opponent doesn't seem to be afraid of the consumption of spiritual energy at all, using big moves one after another, but Zhang Lingch can't. He has to carefully control the output, otherwise he will have no choice but to be slaughtered by others when his spiritual energy is exhausted. There is probably no benefit from continuing the fight. Zhang Lingch felt depressed when he realized this sad fact. At this moment, a rumble came. When the two of them looked at each other, their expressions changed. There was an avalanche. Snowy mountains collapsed, and thousands of angry dragons roared and rolled over. No one was spared wherever they passed. Zhang Lingch frowned, stepped on his feet, and said to Xiaolu, "Fly up." Without his instructions, Xiaolu would not stay here waiting to be buried, and quickly flapped her wings to fly high into the sky. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 345. Goosewitting was exactly the opposite of him. Instead of running, he ran towards the direction of the avalanche. Because the three of you, Qingbao, are right over there. In order to prevent them from running around, the formation not only provides defense to protect them, but also prohibits them from coming out. Goosewitting had never been so panicked as he was now. He ran to Qingbao and the others as fast as he could. Just as he removed his formation and pulled the three of them into his arms, a black hole suddenly appeared and sucked the four of them in. Yu Chain was stunned for a moment, and jumped in before the black hole closed. The next moment, the snow flow surged in, covering and burying the entire mountain col. In mid-air, Zhang Lingch, who was standing on Xiaolu's back, was surprised to see Goosewitting and others buried under the rolling snow waves. Perhaps an avalanche is an unstoppable natural disaster for mortals, but for monks, it is still avoidable. How could those few people be buried directly? This is unscientific. After wondering for a while, Zhang Lingch decided to take another look. Even if they were buried, they probably wouldn't have died. By then, when the avalanche calms down, Goosewitting will definitely be seriously injured when he comes out, and he will just take action to the snow ginseng. What he didn't know was that Goosewitting and the others were not buried in the snow at all, but were sucked in by a black hole that appeared out of nowhere. When Shen Yizi arrived, all he saw was a vast expanse of white snow. Standing at the place where Yi Chang disappeared, she felt panicky. Could it be that Goosewitting and the others were buried under the snow? In mid-air, Zhang Lingch looked at the tiny figure below and felt that this figure seemed familiar. Before he could figure it out, Xiaolu screamed in joy and flew down. Shen Yizi noticed a strong gust of wind coming, and the star-breaker hammer appeared in his hand. It grew in size in the blink of an eye, and he swung the hammer over. Poor Xiaolu was unprepared and was knocked out and fell headfirst into the thick snow. Zhang Lingch jumped away from it in time to avoid the same tragic situation. Shen Yizi looked at this man, clenched the hammer in his hand, and looked wary. Zhang Lingch pulled Xiaolu out of the snow. Xiaolu shook his head and neck, and snowflakes suddenly flew everywhere. Turning around to see Shen Yizi, Xiaolu fluttered over merrily again. The three-headed bird that was originally quite handsome and majestic now turned itself into a silly duck. Shen Yizi originally wanted to give it another hammer, but when he noticed that it was approaching him unpreparedly, his subordinates couldn't help but hesitate a little. It was this hesitation that allowed Xiaolu to find the opportunity, and the three heads rushed towards her chest. They burrowed inside and screamed loudly. Shen Yizi. What's going on with this big three-headed bird? Is she familiar with it? But speaking of it, when it rubbed against her, she did feel an inexplicable sense of familiarity, and her hand touched it skillfully. Zhang Lingch didn't expect to see her here. Xiao's Hizi, why are you here? Little cicada? What the is it called? Master, why did you call me Xiaozai? Who told you to have the word knowledge in your name? Then you can call me Xiaozai or Hizi. Xiaozai sounds terrible. This is my teacher's nickname for you, and you have no right to object. A memory suddenly pops into my mind. Shen Yizi looked dazed for a moment, then looked at the man in front of him and blurted out, Master. Zhang Lingch stretched out his hand and knocked her on the head. Why, you forgot about me after not seeing me for a while. The girl looked at him just now with a strange look, as if she didn't know him, so she deserved a beating. This blast was like a switch, instantly knocking open the layer of mist covering her head, and many memories from the past spewed out instantly. This came down a bit violently, her face turned pale, she held her head and let out a low groan of pain. Zhang Lingch. He didn't use any force at all, okay. This girl's acting skills are getting better and better. But he still stretched out his hand and said, Here, let me take a look. Shen Yizi let him take his hand away. Not even a patch of skin is red. As for acting like this, those who don't know would think that my teacher has done something wrong with you. Zhang Lingch muttered while massaging her. Shen Yizi looked at him, his eyes full of nostalgia and emotion. Zhang Lingch touched her eyes and was startled. Why are you looking at me like this? Could it be that I haven't seen you for a long time and suddenly found that my teacher has become handsome, so you have some unethical love for me? Let me tell you. I don't engage in a master-disciple relationship. Familiar recipe, familiar taste. Shen Yizi's mouth twitched. Master, where are you thinking? I haven't seen you for a long time, and I miss you a little. I'll try my best to make Master happy with empty words, but can't I have some practical expressions? Zhang Lingch hinted crazily. Shen Yizi threw a storage bag over expressionlessly. When Zhang Lingch opened it, it was full of food and wine. And they all contain rich aura. Little cicada, it seems that you have become rich. Zhang Lingch took out an oil paper bag, opened it and saw that it was a golden and shiny roast chicken, fragrant. Take a bite and then take a big sip of wine. The taste is so beautiful. Master, don't just eat. Let me ask you, have you seen Qingbao and the others here before? Shen Yizi suddenly reunited with her master, and recalled many memories from the past. She was inevitably a little excited, but she had not forgotten that Gu Swiding and the others were still buried under the snow. She took out the photo stone and took out a family photo of her family of 5. Zhang Lingch looked at the few people who were close to each other. They looked like a family. Could it be that he and the boy flooded the Dragon King temple and the whole family didn't recognize each other? He suddenly felt guilty and paused while chewing on the chicken leg. Who are they to you? Family, he is Gu Swiding. He and I have become Taoist couples. This is King Bao, Yuan Bao, and Nian Nian. King Bao is the child of me and Gu Swiding. Although Yuan Bao and Nian Nian are not biological children, they are better than biological children. Shen Yizi pointed to the family on the photo stone and introduced it to him. Zhang Lingch. They haven't seen each other for 4 years, and the disciple even has a man and a baby behind his back. This roast chicken can't be eaten anymore. At other times, he would have been able to question him with confidence, but now he wished he could just disappear. Because Gu Swiding and others were buried in heavy snow, which was directly related to him. Looking at his evasive eyes, Shen Yizi realized that there was a story here. Master, are you hiding something from me? Zhang Lingch had no choice but to simply tell what happened before. After saying this, my heart was hanging. Shen Yizi could not blame him now. After her suspicion was confirmed, she started digging immediately. At this moment, she also calmed down. The contact between Yi Chang and her was only blocked, but not disappeared, which meant that nothing happened to them, and they most likely entered another space. This has happened before. Zhang Lingch saw her digging in the snow without saying a word and did not dare to speak, so he hurriedly helped dig. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 346. After Luo Yao rushed over, he understood the situation and joined in. With the joint efforts of the 3 people, the thick snowdrift was dug up, but there was nothing underneath. Shen Yizi became more and more firm in his guess. Gu Swiding and the others were indeed sucked into another dimension. But it landed in a different place. When Gu Swiding woke up, he was lying on a gorgeous big bed, with pink gauze as thin as light mist hung on the 4 bedposts. It was windless and hazy, with a strong ambiguity. He stood up and scanned the surrounding area with his consciousness. When Qingbao and the others were nowhere to be seen, his heart sank. He walked to the stone door, but couldn't open it. He thought the mechanism might be hidden somewhere in the house, so he had to step back and look around. This is a spacious stone room, with bronze animal head candlesticks inlaid on the walls. The candle is as thick as a human arm, but it is almost burned to the bottom. I don't know what it is made of. It is as white as grease, and it emits a stream of light when it burns. Light fragrance. There is a stone screen standing on the south side of the big bed. Behind the screen is a pond 1 foot square. There is not much water left in it, only enough to immerse the ankles. The bottom of the pool was paved with round and colorful stones. However, upon closer inspection, Goose Whitting discovered that those stones were actually monster inner elixirs. Only monsters that have developed spiritual intelligence and possess a certain level of Taoism will produce inner elixirs in their bodies. Inner elixirs have many uses and can be used for practicing, refining elixirs, and refining weapons. However, how can a monster with inner elixir be so easy to kill? It is very likely that it will be killed and swallowed by it. Hence, the inner elixirs on the market are very rare and the price remains high. There are so many here. It can be seen that the master here is very powerful. If he, she, wants to harm Qingbao and the others will have no power to resist. Thinking about this, Goose Whitting became more and more eager. On the other side, Yi Chang woke up in a stone room similar to a study. He shook his head and looked around, taking in a clear view of the situation in the room. There is a case and a futon on the north side. In addition, there are several large bookshelves. The bookshelves are filled with books, made of paper, silk, bamboo slips, jade slips and even stone slabs, and the contents are even more diverse. There are even several books of spring gong pictures. Why would he know? Because those books of pictures were placed in the most conspicuous position, it was difficult for him not to see them. I turned around the room, even to the ceiling, but still couldn't find a way out. Where are Qingbao and the others? Nothing will happen, right? Walking around the room countless times, he forced himself to calm down and use his thinking ability. That black hole that suddenly appeared was a space rift. Space rifts have the ability to teleport. This is either a small independent space or a place far away from the original place. If it's the former, it's fine. As long as you find the exit, you'll still be where you are after you go out. If it's the latter, it will be a little difficult to go back. There are so many books in the room, which means that this place is owned by an owner, but he did not sense the slightest breath of living people here. It can be seen that even if there was a master, it was a long time ago. So the reason why they were teleported here was not premeditated, but just an accident. To say that the only one among the few who stayed awake was Qingbao. He looked at the sudden change of scene and blinked. He thought that his mother often sent him to another place, so he was not afraid at all. This is a small stone room. There is an ice blue cold jade bed against the wall. The cold air is lingering. Even if you are several steps away, you can feel the chill. Sitting cross-legged on the bed was a woman with silver hair and a pink gauze skirt. She had her eyes closed and her expression was peaceful. She seemed to be meditating, but in fact a long time had passed. But Qingbao didn't know that. When he walked to the bed, he was hit by the cold air, and his face turned pale from the cold. It was so cold. He took out the thick cloak that his mother had prepared for him from the sky-swallowing bottle, wrapped it around himself, and moved further away from the bed. Old woman. When this title came out, it can be said to have stirred up a hornet's nest. Zhang Chanyu, who originally planned to observe him secretly for a while, suddenly jumped out and said, "Little brat, who are you calling old lady? Why am I old?" Even though he has been dead for many years and now only a trace of his soul remains, Zhang Chanyu still cannot hear the word old. Qingbao looked at Zhang Chanyu, who suddenly appeared in surprise, then looked at the person sitting on the bed, and thought to himself, "Why are there two old ladies? Old lady, why do you have two?" I told you not to call me old lady, I've only lived 18,000 years old, and I'm still just a flower in the world of immortality. Qingbao was even more surprised now, 18,000 years old. I'm only 3 years old. He also held up 3 chubby fingers. Zhang Chanyu. This bastard, I have to emphasize that she is the youngest. Ba ba ba, she is not old. She crossed her chest and snorted, then you are very fat. If you are so fat, no little girl will like you in the future. My mother said that I am not fat, but round and cute. She also said that I specifically picked out her and daddy's good qualities. I will definitely be extremely handsome in the future. The little girls who like me can be cued from my house all the way to the imperial capital. Qingbao learned from her what Shen Yizi once said. There was no interruption in such a long speech, and his stuttering was very clear and clever. Zhang Chanyu's eyes twitched. This little bastard's mother would really put a lot of money on her child's face. Your mother is lying to you. You are as fat as a ball. How can any girl like you? Zhang Chanyu has no consciousness of being a powerful person at all, and bullies children without any psychological burden. Mother would never lie to me, you bad mother-in-law. Qingbao was angry and threw a handful of marbles at her. Zhang Chanyu is now in a soul body, so the marbles will naturally not hit her, but she was so angry at the bad mother-in-law. Why can't this little have trouble with his mother-in-law? Looking at his extraordinary qualifications and qualifications to be her apprentice, she tolerated it for the time being. In fact, the qualifications of the few people who came in this time are very good. The strangely good-looking young man has a rare space spirit root. The body of another little boy is actually an acquired spirit treasure. The girl has phoenix bloodline. Even if that snake is actually a descendant of the sky-swallowing python. I do know where the weirds are from this line, each of which is extraordinary. But compared to the little rag boy in front of me, they are nothing. This little kid is actually a Hunyuan spirit body that rarely appears in tens of millions of years. Even if he does nothing, the spiritual energy will automatically penetrate into his body, and his cultivation level will rise slowly. He is simply God's favorite. Even she couldn't help but feel envious and jealous. The most important thing is that he is still young. Don't they say that a disciple must start from a baby? At a young age, there is a lot of room for growth. I believe that with her guidance, this child's future will be bright. As long as he doesn't fall midway, it's possible for him to aspire to the highest position in the future. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 347. At that time, as his master, wouldn't he have great glory? Fame and fortune? After recovering from her beautiful imagination, Zhang Chanyu looked at Qingbao with a fiery look in her eyes. Little one, what's your name? Her tone was so gentle that she couldn't help but get goosebumps. However, Qingbao didn't buy it. My mother said you can't tell strangers your name casually, he said seriously. He is like a good boy who takes his mother's words as his guide. Zhang Chanyu narrowed her eyes. My name is Zhang Chanyu, little guy, you can call me Dash. Grandma Zhang, Qingbaojian called out loudly. Zhang Chanyu's soul was confused for a while, but finally returned to calm. Come on, why should she care about a child? Mother-in-law should be mother-in-law, that's weird. When she becomes his master, when she regains her physical form, she will definitely hang this little brat up and beat him until he cries for father and mother. With a storm roaring in my heart, I tried my best to put on a smile on my face. I've already told you my name, and now we're no longer strangers. Do you also want to tell me your name? Qingbao tilted his head as if thinking. His white pink and voluptuous face was so cute that it made people's hearts tremble. Even Zhang Chanyu had to admit that this baby was really annoying and very good looking. Made her hands very itchy. Okay, mother told me to respect the old and love the young. Since Granny Zhang wants to know my name so much, I will tell you. My nickname is Qingbao and my big name is Shen Mocking. The name my mother gave me is, doesn't it sound good? Zun, old. Can this joke be over? Zhang Chanyu's face was distorted for a moment, and then returned to normal as if nothing had happened, smiling, well, it sounds good. Qingbao smiled toothily, which was so cute. Step 1, learn the name, get closer, get. Then it's time to proceed to the second step. Zhang Chanyu said seductively, Qingbao, do you want to become super powerful? No one can beat you. Think, I want to protect my mother, my father, Uncle Yu Chang, Yuan Bao, Nian Nian, Master Yao Yao, Uncle Qin Wu, and third sister Kun. Qingbao recited them one by one, but even 10 fingers were not enough, so he started counting again. Zhang Chanyu watched from the side, the corners of her mouth twitching significantly faster. Okay, I know you have to protect a lot of people, so do you know how to become very powerful? Qingbao's little head still couldn't figure out such a profound question, so he shook his head honestly. Zhang Chanyu smiled triumphantly and clasped her hands behind her back. I, Zhang Chanyu, come from the Zhang family, a family of immortal cultivators in the Qingyuan world. I have been gifted with extraordinary talents since I was a child, and I have made rapid progress. I have cultivated to the Mahayana realm in just 18,000 years. I can just wave my hand, it overturns mountains and seas, changes the situation, and is invincible among peers. Thinking of a certain fallen guy, she looked gloomy for a moment, and then continued to boast, no, to be honest about her glorious resume, she must make the kid in front of her realize how powerful and unattainable she is. When the time comes when she proposes to accept him as her disciple again, why can't he agree to it without any hesitation and just accept it? However, imagination is beautiful, reality is hummed. After she finished speaking, she looked down at Qingbao, only to find that he wasn't listening at all. But I didn't know when I got out a small maza, and sat on it comfortably, holding a big bowl in my hand, which was full of a bowl of egg fried rice. That bowl of egg fried rice has golden rice grains with distinct grains, dotted with burnt yellow egg blossoms, sauce red ham, sausage, bright orange carrots and green peas. It is colorful and full of flavor. Qingbao took big bites with a spoon and squirmed with his little mouth, making tempting chewing sounds. Just by listening to it, you could tell how delicious he was eating. Seeing this scene, Zhang Chanyu was really angry and greedy. What makes her angry is that while she was reciting her glorious and splendid past, this little kid actually sat there and started eating like no one else was around. There is no sense of being a listener at all. But seeing that he ate so deliciously, she couldn't help but swallow her saliva. God knows she hadn't eaten in how many years. As a monk who pursues enjoying life, even though she no longer needs to eat, she still likes to look for delicious food. She goes out for a walk and tastes the new delicacies when she has nothing to do. In order to be able to eat at any time, she also specially raised 7 or 8 spiritual chefs in the cave to cook for herself. But after arriving in the Tianyuan realm, in order to prevent those mortal foods from polluting her pure spiritual body, she had no choice but to suppress her appetite. Later, it became a remnant soul, and it became even more difficult to eat. She couldn't help but feel a little sad when she thought about the poor days without good food after she came here. Looking at Qingbao scooping up the fried rice with eggs and putting it into her mouth, she felt a cry of desire coming from the depths of her soul. Cough, Zhang Chanyu was so greedy that she couldn't stand it anymore, so she coughed heavily in an attempt to attract his attention. My mother said that you should not talk when you have food in your mouth, otherwise you will easily choke. So Qingbao slowly swallowed the food in his mouth, and then gave her a look. Grandma Zhang, why didn't you say anything? Zhang Chanyu. Emotions. Did he regard her words as condiments? Which one is tolerable? Zhang Chanyu waved her hand and transformed into a feather duster, and whipped it towards Qingbao. This little really can't survive without beating him. However, The moment the feather duster touched him, a layer of golden light appeared on his body, and at the same time, accompanied by a Sanskrit sound like a yellow bell, the feather duster and her soul were shaken away with a buzzing sound. Jiang Chanyu was made dizzy by this, and it took a long time to recover. She took a closer look and couldn't help but exclaimed, "7 treasures glazed beads. This is the most precious treasure of Buddhism, how come it is in this little bastard's body?" When I thought about it, I felt that I was making a fuss again. He was a Hunyuan spirit that was rare to see in millions of years. What happened to the 7 treasures glazed bead on his body? It was nothing, even if she was so angry that she couldn't even lift a finger from him. How can I raise my authority by accepting him as my disciple from now on? Jiang Chanyu felt tired just thinking about it. But she still had to do it. Jiang Chanyu flicked the feather duster away, pretending that the scene just now had not happened, and continued to lie. "Qingbao, since you want to become powerful, I can teach you, but you have to worship me as your teacher." Jiang Chanyu decided not to take the roundabout route, because this kid didn't understand at all, so she just pointed it out directly. "I want you to be my teacher." Qingbao finished a large bowl of egg fried rice, took out a bottle of milk and sipped it. Hearing this, he released the pacifier and tilted his head to look at her. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 348. Yes, have you seen the ring I am wearing in my hand? It contains all kinds of treasures that I have collected in the past. As long as you worship me as your teacher, all the treasures there will be yours. Jiang Chanyu spared no effort to seduce him, listing a lot of benefits of becoming her disciple. It's sad to say that she is a real person in the Mahayana period. If she is still in the realm of Qingyuan, the news that she wants to accept the apprentices must not be broken. Now he is asking this little kid to worship him as his teacher. Qingbao was not very interested in what she said. He allowed her to say whatever he wanted but refused to agree. Jiang Chanyu was running around in the stone room frantically. This little kid is really difficult to deal with. Sure enough, children are the most disgusting. Since the soft one won't work, let's use the hard one. But when a 3-year-old baby comes to her territory, she is not allowed to be rubbed round and flat. "Do you know where this place is?" Jiang Chanyu suddenly came to Qingbao and asked in a sinister tone, almost close to his face. Qingbao shook his head honestly, "I don't know." While speaking, he also burped. Looking at his carefree appearance, Jiang Chanyu could hardly keep the expression on her face. "Humph, let me tell you, this is a small secret realm refined by me. Without my consent, you can't get out. You can only be locked here all the time, all alone, without a playmate or a mother. When you finish eating the contents of that bottle, you will starve to death here. How miserable. The implication is, come and worship me as your teacher, little bastard. Maybe if you make me happy, I will be merciful and let you go." Qingbao bit his pacifier with a serious look on his face, as if he was really frightened by the scene she described. Jiang Chanyu was secretly proud. However, in the next moment, the expression on her face changed from leisurely to frightened. Seeing Qingbao stand up, pull down his pants, expose his penis, and point it at his body, Jiang Chanyu almost screamed, "What are you going to do?" Qingbao glanced at her, as if he was looking at a fool. "Isn't this obvious? Of course you have to pee after eating and drinking enough." Jiang Chanyu. This little is not going to pee on her, is he? Facts have proved that her worries were unnecessary. Qingbao is a civilized baby. How could he pee on others? He took out the urinal that his mother had prepared for him, and when he saw Jiang Chanyu staring at him, he turned his back to her. Jiang Chanyu found it interesting when she saw that he actually knew how to avoid people. However, considering that this little has not yet eaten grain, he will inevitably have to eat, drink and defecate. By then, Won't her quiet place become a place for his grain reincarnation? Jiang Chanyu trembled. That picture is so beautiful, I can't even imagine it. What to do if neither soft nor hard methods work? Jiang Chanyu shut herself up against the wall for a while, and suddenly an idea flashed in her mind. She turned around and used the circle light technique, drawing a circle in the air with her fingers. The air rippled like ripples, and the figures of Gu Swiding, Yi Chang, Yuan Bao, and Nian Nian appeared on it. Dad, Qingbao looked up at Gu Swiding. It turns out he is your father. It's because you are so fat that your nose and eyes are all squeezed out. I didn't notice it at first. Qingbao clenched his fists and stared at her. Humph, he kept saying that the baby is fat over and over again, and the baby got angry. Jiang Chanyu made another stroke with her finger, and a black pool appeared in the circular light mirror. The pool was bubbling and bubbling, and there was a huge black shadow swimming back and forth underneath. It was unknown what kind of monster it was, and it looked very scary. Do you know what this is? It's a piranha. Once a person falls in, it will eat it until all the bones are left. Don't believe it? Come on, take out something to eat from your little bottle and give it to me. Let me show you. Qingbao didn't move. Jiang Chanyu sighed softly, since you don't cooperate, then I have to operate on a few of them. Who should I start with? Her eyes wandered back and forth between Gu Swiding and others, and finally settled on Yi Chang. This snake is so fat, my little cutie will definitely like to eat it. As soon as she finished speaking, Yi Chang, who was still in the study, was instantly moved to the sky above the black pool, and fell heavily, splashing the boss. That huge black shadow struck quickly like a sharp sword, biting Yu Chang ferociously. No, don't eat Uncle Yu Chang. Qingbao rushed forward to stop him, but failed. Jiang Chanyu put away the round light mirror so that he could not see what was going on. Wow, you bad guy, Uncle Yu Chang. Qingbao cried heartbreakingly and was extremely sad. Tears were falling down. Jiang Chanyu looked at it and couldn't help but feel a sense of guilt in her heart, but in order to scare this little guy and make him willing to worship her as his teacher, the superior persona cannot be broken. Whose turn is it next? She pointed her fingers back and forth among the remaining people. Why is there one missing? Where has that little girl gone? Suddenly, a huge push came from her waist, and Jiang Chanyu fell directly to the ground. Before she could stand up, she was punched and kicked violently. If you dare to bully Qingbao, I will beat you to death. Beat you to death. The pink-carved little girl had a fierce face, and her fists hit Jiang Chanyu like a rainstorm. To be precise, it was on that fragile soul. This girl is none other than Nian Nian, who has entered the soul mode. Walls can block the physical body, but they cannot block the soul body. After she was transferred to a stone room, she found that there was no way out. She transformed her body into the soul body state without any guidance. Now, those walls could not stop her. She just walked around, looking for other people. She happened to go to the stone room, and when she saw Qingbao crying, she immediately went crazy. And here besides Qingbao is the woman who is also in a soul state. She must have bullied Qingbao, and Nian Nian rushed over without saying a word. Jiang Chanyu's soul body was beaten to pieces like smoke, and she immediately moved Nian Nian away after reacting. This little girl is so cruel. What shocked her even more was that not only could she turn into a soul body and touch her, but there was actually a layer of phoenix real fire attached to her fist, which burned her soul. Her soul was already weak, and now it was like a candle in the wind. If she didn't pay attention, she would be in danger of losing her soul. How careless! Jiang Chanyu's image of a superior person completely collapsed after being beaten so hard by Nian Nian. She was stared at by Qingbao's big tearful eyes, and her face was filled with embarrassment. It's really like a tiger being bullied by a dog. Fortunately there is no one else here except Qingbao, otherwise she would be completely embarrassed. But now is not the time to care about face. The true phoenix fire did not go out when its owner left. Instead, it gradually spread and burned her soul bit by bit. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 349. Zhang Chanyu couldn't help but panic now. If she was really burned to the point of death, then she must have died unjustly. No, this fire must be put out quickly. However, she tried various methods, but none of them worked. Instead, another piece of her soul was burned away. Zhang Chanyu took a deep breath and said, "Qingbao, I was joking with you just now. Your uncle Yu Chang is still fine. I will move them over to accompany you." She originally thought that Qingbao was young and easy to coax, so she would coax him to become her master before letting them out. Who knew that something unexpected happened and she didn't have much time left. Now, we can only bring his parents over and explain the seriousness of the matter clearly. Zhang Chanyu moved Gu Swiding, Yu Chang, and Yuan Bao over. As for Nian Nian, she was afraid, so she excluded her for the time being. Qingbao, Gu Swiding took Qingbao into his arms, and when he saw Yuan Bao was there, he took him over too. "Dad, Uncle Yu Chang." Qingbao stretched out his hand towards Yi Chang, and Yi Chang took the initiative to put himself into his hand. Touching him well, Qingbao burst into tears and laughed. Uncle Yu Chang was not eaten. Zhang Chanyu crossed her chest and leaned to the side, rolling her eyes. She was just scaring him before. In fact, the so-called piranha was just an ordinary big fish and was not aggressive at all. Gu Swiding looked at Qingbao's chubby face and cried, feeling very distressed. He held his face with his big hands to help him wipe away the tears, and comforted him softly. Yu Chang, who was held by Qingbao, was stunned the moment he saw Zhang Chanyu. He blinked hard and suspected that he was hallucinating. Why did this woman Zhang Chanyu appear here? In the Qingyuan world, the Yi family, where Yi Chang lives, and the Zhang family, where Zhang Chanyu lives, are both long-established immortal cultivating families. The two families are related by marriage and often interact with each other on weekdays. Yu Chang and Zhang Chanyu are the same generation, and they once had a relationship as childhood sweethearts, but later they had a falling out because of an incident, and their relationship gradually became cold. Later, Zhang Chanyu found him disliked in various ways, and started to ridicule mode as soon as they met. Yu Chang adheres to the idea that a good man should not fight with a woman, so he tries to avoid her. For a long time, the two of them lived in peace, until he got engaged to Song Xianing, and Zhang Chanyu also came to the banquet. Later, she got drunk and went crazy and made a big fuss. Yu Chang suspected that she came to cause trouble on purpose. After that, Zhang Chanyu seemed to disappear and never appeared in front of him again. Later, he was harmed by Song Xianing and her concubine, and his body died, but luckily his soul escaped. He didn't expect to see Zhang Chanyu again in the Tianyuan world. If she knew that she was now a snake, she would die laughing. No, 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 never let her know. Not even to death. Yu Chang made up his mind to cover his vest. However, he soon discovered that Zhang Chanyu's current situation seemed to be very bad. There is only a thin ray of soul left, and it is burned by a little spark. This is a rhythm that may burp at any time. How did this woman get herself into this state? If she doesn't stay well in the Qingyuan world, why is she here? Have you eaten enough? Seeing that Qingbao was comforted by his father, Zhang Chanyu also breathed a sigh of relief. Qingbao, do you think I didn't lie to you? I was just joking with you. Qingbao buried his head in Gu Swiding's arms and turned the back of his head towards her. Gu Swiding took out a wide chair, sat on it with Qingbao and Yuan Bao in his arms, and looked at Zhang Chanyu with cold eyes. I wonder where the senior took Nian Nian. Nian Nian. Zhang Chanyu realized, was this the cruel little girl she was talking about? She's fine. As long as you promise me a condition, I'll bring her over. How about it? Zhang Chanyu spoke a little hastily. The pain of the soul being burned is so excruciating. What kind of person is Gu Switting? How could he not detect the urgency in her words? This time, he was not in a hurry. What conditions? He had no time to ask. Let her put out the fire in me. Good. Zhang Chanyu thought he would deliberately push the envelope for a while so that she would suffer more, but she didn't expect that he would agree so readily. In fact, her guess was right. Just because she bullied Qingbao to tears, Gu Switting was not ready to let her go easily. However, at this moment, she received a message from Yi Chang's spiritual consciousness. Her name is Zhang Chanyu, and she is the same as Zhang Chanyu. We both come from the Qingyuan world, and we are friends. No matter what, let Nian Nian extinguish the fire in her soul first. Yu Chang's tone revealed an urgency that he was not even aware of. Yu Chang was his contracted beast. For his sake, Gu Switting temporarily suppressed the unhappiness in his heart. Zhang Chanyu moved Nian Nian over. As soon as she saw Zhang Chanyu, Nian Nian rushed forward with her fists waving. Nian Nian, Gu Switting stopped her in time. Come to uncle. Nian Nian looked at him, made a face at Zhang Chanyu, ran into Gu Switting's arms, and squeezed together with Qingbao and Yuan Bao. Gu Switting comforted Nian Nian, and then handed over the task of persuading her to Qingbao. Qingbao, that Senior Zhang is a friend of your uncle Yu Chang. She was burned by the real fire released by Nian Nian. Can you let Nian Nian take the fire back? Once I heard that Zhang Chanyu was a friend of Yu Chang, how could Qingbao be offended? Nian Nian was immediately moved. With a move of Nian Nian's hand, the little phoenix true fire attached to Zhang Chanyu's soul flew back to her palm. Originally, although phoenix true fire is powerful, it does not have the effect of harming the soul. However, why is Nian Nian a special existence that is half human and half soul? The phoenix true fire she condensed has the characteristics of half virtual and half real. No matter whether it is a solid or incorporeal body, it cannot escape its burning. If Zhang Chanyu's soul was in its prime, Nian Nian's real fire wouldn't be able to hurt her. However, her soul had been in this space for who knows how long and had already become extremely weak. After a while, it might completely dissipate. Finally getting rid of that bit of phoenix true fire, Zhang Chanyu breathed a sigh of relief. However, after the continuous consumption, she really couldn't afford to be hurt anymore. Let's make a long story short. First briefly introduced his origin, and then said, the reason why I came to this Tianyuan world is to find an old friend. Old friend? Yi Chang glanced at her secretly. Could it be that she was talking about him? Gu Switting simply asked, I wonder what the name of the old friend that Senior Zhang is looking for is. Zhang Chanyu glanced at him in surprise, wondering why he was interested in this, but she still said, Yu Chang, he is known as Zhuhua Zhenren in the Qingyuan world, but I have been looking for him for decades and have not found him's whereabouts. She sounded disappointed. Gu Switting and Yi Chang looked at each other. But that's not right, Yi Chang thought to himself. After his soul escaped, he fell to Tianyuan realm and took away the snake body in a daze. It was less than a year ago, and Zhang Chanyu must have arrived later than him. How could he have already found her? Has he been there for decades? This is the wrong time, right? Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 350. Yi Chang thought of a possibility. There were countless space cracks between Qingyuan realm and Tianyuan realm, and the flow rate of time in some space cracks was different from that in the outside world. Maybe he only stayed inside for a moment, but in fact, the time outside was already there. Many years have passed. Moreover, when he passed through the rift in space, his soul was in a state of chaos and he had no clear concept of time. So, what he thought was a short period of time may actually be many years. Zhang Chanyu calmed down and continued, after coming here, I found that the spiritual energy in this world is extremely thin, and the cultivation level has been suppressed to the qi refining stage. This is really far from the Tianyuan world I know. I once found a jade slip in an ancient ruins. The jade slip said that the Tianyuan realm is the main body of the Hongmeng continent. It has strong aura and a flourishing practice of cultivating immortals. Immortals who have become legends in the Qingyuan realm are not counted here. What? Beyond the immortals, there are also earth immortals, mysterious immortals, and golden immortals. Unexpectedly, after I came here, I discovered that let alone immortals here, even the monks in the foundation building stage were all rare and had basically degenerated into a secular mortal world. Later, I discovered some clues. A large formation has been set up on this continent, using the dragon veins of the terrain as the base to seize the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, cover up the secrets of heaven, deceive the way of heaven, and suppress everyone in the formation below the foundation building stage. Seize the aura of heaven and earth. Blind the way of heaven. Gu Switting's heart was filled with turmoil. If this were true, wouldn't all of them live in a great formation? 9 dragons covering the sky, Yi Chang blurted out. Zhang Chanyu suddenly looked at him. However, Yi Chang no longer cared about the exposure of his vest at this time. I can't remember where I saw it, but the big formation you mentioned is most likely the 9 dragons covering the sky formation. The person who set up the formation is also what a generous move. Isn't that a big deal? I don't know how many thousands of years ago the Great Formation was set up, or the entire continent was used as the formation, and even the way of heaven was deceived. After so many years, how terrifying must the spiritual energy absorbed by the formation be? What is the purpose of those who set up the formation? The 3 adults present were all shocked. In addition to being shocked, Zhang Chanyu also had a sense of surprise and the absurdity of the world. She searched for Yi Chang but couldn't find him, but in the end, she met him again in this situation. She stared at Yi Chang who had turned into a little snake, and couldn't laugh or cry for a moment. You actually, ha ha ha. Hearing Zhang Chanyu's devilish laughter, Yi Chang was speechless for a moment and couldn't help but jump to his feet. Why are you laughing? I didn't do this voluntarily. You are no better than me. As soon as these words came out, the scene became strangely still. Yu Chang realized that he had said the wrong thing and lowered his head, not daring to look at Zhang Chanyu. In the final analysis, it was because of him that she became like this. He actually used this to ridicule her, which was really inappropriate. Gu Switting broke the unspeakable embarrassment at the right time. Logically speaking, even if the senior's cultivation has been suppressed, he once had a Mahayana cultivation. How could he? Zhang Chanyu said lightly, I didn't find Yu Chang, so I concentrated on studying the 9 dragons covering the sky formation, hoping to break the formation and leave this world. It took me many years to finally find an eye of the formation. I thought that as long as I broke one eye of the formation would be destroyed. There will be flaws in the law, and then I can take the opportunity to leave. Unexpectedly, the formation eye was far more stable than I thought. Not only did I not succeed, but a large amount of spiritual power was absorbed by the formation eye, which made me grow old. Furthermore, this formation has existed for many years, and it actually gave birth to an formation spirit. My action of destroying the formation eye was naturally noticed by it, and it tried every means to kill me. It didn't take long for me to be seriously injured by it, and I almost accidentally broke into this small space at a critical moment. Later, I spent hundreds of years refining the small space, and also developed a skybreaking disc that can sense the eyes of the 9 dragons covering the sky formation. After that, the spiritual energy in my body was exhausted and my body died, but my soul was still there. I wanted to find a qualified successor and pass the space and the sky-breaking disk to him, her, so that he could break the 9 dragons covering the sky formation and create a new world for him or her. Take revenge on your own. Over the years, many people have entered the space by mistake, but none of them met my requirements until your arrival. To be precise, it's Qingbao. The amount of information Zhang Chanyu said was quite large. Gu Suiting and Yi Chang were silent for a while. The 3 of King Bao slipped away from Gu Suiting and played games in the corner of the stone room. They were innocent and carefree, and had no idea what kind of shock their father and Uncle Yu Chain had experienced. Finally, Gu Suiting said, "Senior, do you have a crush on Qingbao?" Zhang Chanyu's eyes showed a hint of appreciation. Yes. Qingbao is a Hunyuan spirit body, and I happen to have a technique suitable for his physique, Dongling Zhenjiang. In addition, once he worships me as his teacher, I will use this. The small space and my Qinqin ring were all passed on to him. Gongshu, small space, Qinqin ring, and countless treasures belonging to a real person in the Mahayana stage. These benefits are undoubtedly hard to refuse. Most importantly, Zhang Chanyu is a Mahayana master. What does it mean to be a Mahayana master? Beyond qi refining, there are foundation building, golden elixir, and yuanying, and then there are out-of-body, distraction, and integration. Beyond the combination, there is Dongxu, and above Dongxu, there is Mahayana. There are 8 great realms between qi refining and Mahayana. Although there is only a trace of Zhang Chanyu's soul left now, her knowledge and vision are still there. Teaching Qingbao is really overkill. But there is no such thing as a pie in the sky in this world. If there is, it must be poisonous. Zhang Chanyu provides so many benefits just to be Qingbao's master? I'm sorry, Gu Suiting can't believe it. Senior, can you tell me what is the real intention of accepting Qingbao? Zhang Chanyu was silent for a moment. The Hunyuan spirit body is equivalent to the best natural soul-nourishing wood for the soul. It has an excellent nourishing effect on the soul. You should also be able to see that my soul is already very weak and cannot last long. But you can rest assured that I will never do anything to harm Qingbao. I can swear my inner demon oath. Although Yi Chang was wrapped around Qingbao's wrist, he actually kept his ears open to listen to the conversation between the two. At this time, I couldn't help but quietly send a message to Gu Suiting. She's right. Although this woman is a little overbearing and rude, she still keeps her word. Otherwise, you let Qingbao obey her, but, no, yes, become your teacher. Gu Suiting pondered for a moment, and finally said, whether or not to accept Senior Zhang as his teacher depends on Qingbao's wishes. Even if I am Qingbao's father, I cannot make the decision for him. He waved to Qingbao and called him to him. Qingbao, this Senior Zhang wants to accept you as his disciple, are you willing? Zhang Chanyu felt chilled in her heart. If she could deal with a kid like Qingbao, would she still need to bring him over as an adult? However, the next moment, she heard Qingbao's crisp voice, yes.